welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, starring the one, the only Ramon Foster in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. Steelers season ends on Sunday with a 28-14 victory.
Yeah.
How odd.
I know.
A season ending in a victory.
It is, man. Also above 500.
Ending in lots of victories, actually, as long as we're at it.
And you know,
lots of victories.
A lot of victories. And what's interesting is all of it means just a pat on the back, I think, right? I mean, it's for something.
I'll tell you what, though, Moan. I'm all for a pat on the back.
Are you?
Wow. I am.
You know what? And simply because you were pegged as the guy who's always negative, this is a shocker. You know, we had somebody.
No, there's no shock. Listen. This is okay. They started out 2-6. Okay. Everybody knows that they got thrashed by the Eagles to be 2-6.
Yes.
Out there in Philadelphia, 35-13. All hope was lost. Ramon Foster on his show, I swear, it's like I was there or something, was talking about high draft picks, wanted to talk about did he bring that up at some point?
I did bring that up.
Okay, yeah. It's like, let's get into
that.
Top 5, top 10 picks, whatever else. Okay, so here's what ended up happening. The Steelers won their last 4 games, okay, including 2 of them on the road. One against a playoff team in the Ravens. They won 6 out of their last 7 games.
Wow.
Okay, they went 6-1 down the stretch. I am here for the pat on the back.
Yeah.
Collectively and in a lot of cases individually, because you've been there, Moan. You were 2-6 and you ended up 8-8. So don't act removed from this.
No.
It was the same head coach, even a couple of the same guys. And how do you keep that focus, that equilibrium to just keep going?
Man, you focus in on honestly what we spoke about this a little bit before we got on. You focus on that pride aspect of it, the idea of being a player, the idea of always competing. We looked at a team today losing the number 1 overall draft pick in the Houston Texans with a win. And that's because the guys that are inside of that huddle want to compete. They want to win. They understand, look, win, lose, or draw, this roster is going to be totally different anyway. But inside the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room, those players to be 2-6, at that time, I do remember saying, though, DK, we've been here before. You even brought it up also to say, look, this isn't anything that we hadn't gone through. The head coach put it
in my face in Philadelphia. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I just said, these are uncharted waters for you, Mike, and he cuts me off and says, I've been there before.
He has. And you know what's crazy? There was a lot of moments that actually happened, too, that this wasn't supposed to be the case. Franco's night. Like winning that one this weekend right here where you actually had everything lined up for you except for the Miami Dolphins deciding that they wanted to actually just kick another field goal and just
from
transition of a rookie quarterback.
A trash call. Sorry, I had to jump in.
No, go ahead. No.
We can do it on another segment. It's just
it is.
It's because it's not like Flacco or the Jets were ever going to score another field goal. Never, ever, ever, ever. They were not going to kick another field goal.
No, but at least we're not them, right? At least we're not the Texans when you look at what your team is. We've said time and time again, and one of our mantras is, of course, win the AFC North. That's always it. The Super Bowl at the end of the day is always the end goal of it all. But this is also the other portion of it. Everybody inside the locker room understands this. All you want is to be able to punch your ticket into the show. And that was one of the highest points of my career coming in, too, because 2009, when I became a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the year before, that team was the number 6 seed that had won every game up until the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl that year being the 6th seed. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So that actually resonates throughout that facility at all times. Why? Again, as Coach Tomlin told you in Philly, I've been here before. That's the reason is always just be able to punch your ticket to the show and everything becomes even then. Now, I know this team is a long way from competing against the Buffalo Bills, which is who you would have saw. But in general, A lot of things happened this year, DK, that a lot of other franchises can't say that. Number one being, I think you have your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean that's you have to start with the offense. I actually, ironically, considering who I'm talking to, would start with the offensive line. Uh, and and not only did I tell them that after the game that
Yeah.
I thought they came along further than anybody else, I said the same thing to Kenny in a brief chat. Kenny Pickett, that he and I had afterward, just said that there's. I said, with all due respect, Kenny, nobody came further than the guys in front of you, and he said, "You're damn right."
Yeah. Yeah.
From where they were in weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are you kidding?
And I think it's this too, watching especially this Browns game. They actually started the game off with runs, getting a good down and distances against that defense. And I think highly of it. I do. But they were able to move the line of scrimmage. And in
Boom,
the last
boom,
5,
boom.
6 weeks, even in one of the losses, they continually moved the line of scrimmage. You remember early in the season, we were just upset, like really confused as to why they couldn't move the ball.
No,
Why
we were
aren't we
upset that they
running?
were even trying at one point because it looked like such a waste of time.
Yes, man, but it really showed a lot of growth. And if given opportunity, I don't know what this group is going to look like, but it does seem like it could lend itself to be one of the better O-lines with growth, with understanding, with a bunch of hard work this offseason. But DK, we are officially there, man. There's going to be some turnover. There's going to be some
Oh
changes.
yeah,
There's going to be some, hey, where can we get better? And I do feel like it may be in that offensive line room in some capacity.
mm-hmm. There's no question about that. I'm going to leave you in this segment with this quote from Mike Tomlin today. Someone asked him afterwards, excuse me, someone asked him, you mentioned being a team on the rise going into the playoffs if you'd gotten into the playoffs. Do you think this team was on that arc had you qualified today? Ooh. His response, he never deals in hypotheticals. Never. Okay, so the fact that he even answered it was nuts. Yeah. But the answer was this. I think our record indicates that because that's all that matters. The style component of play is less significant. You step into stadiums, you win games, you step out of stadiums. So to answer your question, yes, we were a team on the rise.
Wow. That's huge.
When we come back, more on the 9-8 Steelers. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. Team on the rise is what Tomlin says. Now, you know this, and I'm sharing this with the audience. When Tomlin talks about a team for that season, he doesn't overlap them. So when he says we were a team on the rise, don't extrapolate that to mean he means we're coming flying high in 2023 or 2024. That's not his. He meant exactly what he said. We were a team on the rise heading into the playoffs. Moan, I'll ask you this. How happy do you think the Buffalo Bills are?
Man, well, the second time around.
They get the Steelers or the Dolphins.
Man, 100%. Coach T saying that, though, man, is that he never really plays that game, to your point, man. But it also lends itself to a whole different conversation when it comes down to, okay, what's the reality of what you said, Coach Tomlin? Like, a team on a rise is one thing, but this in the playoffs, you really get the best of the best at all times when it comes to who you playing, what the game plan is, how strategic can you actually be. And although I will say, yeah, there is a level of, hey, they rose up in some bad situations. This team, I don't think, is ready to compete deep into the playoffs when it comes down to being a team on the rise. I can be real about that. No,
not this one. No,
not this one. Will I say Kenny got better? Yes. George Pickens going to be a problem for a corner or two? Yes. Deontay can make a play or two? Yes. The run game can be solid enough? Yes. But to say, can we go down the field the way the Buffalo Bills do? No. Can we go down the field like Cincinnati? No. Until that gets figured out and there's a position in which we can say, look, walking into any stadium, our entire playbook is wide open. You're not there yet. Team on the rise defensively? Hell yes. Right, DK? I can say that. They
They
bend,
got the
but not
job
break.
done in the second half. They really did. They
They did
really did.
against the Browns team that has Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Like seriously, that was really good. The
Well,
biggest,
their biggest running threat was Deshaun.
yeah, and that's why I was going. The biggest run threat was Deshaun Watson. And also, that was a welcome to the AFC North moment for him if he's ever had one, too. One thing you will learn about Coach Tomlin and his defense, and Coach T.A., Terrell Austin, I will not neglect him, but with Terrell Austin and his Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin defense, you have to say this. New guy, you will get welcomed. You will have days that you feel like, why are we even playing these guys 2 days? 2 days a year when it comes down to the regular season. He went 2 touchdowns, yeah, but he also had 2 interceptions against a defense that's not that great. Would you say that too? They're good, not great, DK.
I mean, with interceptions, they're one of the best in the NFL.
If not the best.
No, definitely no. And in general, they weren't themselves in large part because TJ didn't have a chance to be himself for the better part of the season. In fairness here, he's not the type to complain in one direction or the other, and he went out there and played games that he absolutely should not have played.
Yeah.
And he took it on the chin when it came to stats and so forth to do that. But when I look at that defense, to me, the offense I feel like is going to be a continuation.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you're just going to see there's going to be a progression. Okay. Like you said, you had a guy who was, a couple guys that were second-year guys, a couple guys that were rookie, the Pickens duo.
Yep.
The offensive line was not only young but new to each other. And they're all going to progress somewhat naturally. The other side of the ball, I don't know. I mean, you have to make actual changes over there.
You do. And you got to be able to build more depth too. Like as much as I want to say go OL in the first round, I also want to say go corner. I also want to say go middle linebacker.
Oh, middle linebacker. Yeah, but the problem is with middle linebacker though is you're probably better off going and getting that guy or the corner in free agency.
It's just the price of that free agent corner though, DK.
They got money. They got
all right. Let's roll.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You are in a position where you have a rookie quarterback, so this is where you make these moves at.
Here's what I think. And again, talking to a former NFL Players Association union rep, who gets paid on the offensive line?
Who gets paid? Left tackle?
Paid? Left tackle. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want to see?
Left tackle. Yeah.
Okay. So if you bring in a left tackle, and that left tackle is someone who can either displace Dan Moore or slide him to the inside or make him a multiple whatever, or get beaten out by Dan Moore.
Yeah.
Okay. Just throwing that into the mix too. Now you'll have a left tackle and a quarterback on your offense who aren't getting paid.
That's so true.
Okay. Now there goes your whole cap. Now you just go shopping in the inside linebacker aisle and say, "Oh, here's a Miles Jack," and throw that in the cart, and then say, "All right, well, here's somebody to replace Devin Bush. We'll do that too," and move along. Get yourself. There's corners. They found corners this year. I mean, they weren't great, but they went and they got Levi Wallace, who had a nice pick in this game, and you see what I'm saying here. I just don't force a pick, but man, left tackle.
That's true, but it's also this though too. This young group has got to be a whole lot better coming back. They did a lot of good things in the second half of the season. Again, Kenny Pickett, no turnovers. Again, okay. George Pickens, I think next year commands. Hey, I'm numero uno around here. The running back tandem offensively that you have with Najee and Jalen, and there was some creativity there this year on the second half part of the season. That's also a big question for us too, DK. Who's going to be calling the plays? Was there enough done to retain jobs, or is it better for everybody else to move forward? It's so much potential, though, DK.
There he goes. Look at him. There he goes. I have just no time or patience or whatever. He's been around long enough. We've seen enough of lack of imagination. We've seen enough people inside football say this guy has no clue. He's in over his head.
Even the commentators say it on TV
openly. It's not even like a
openly.
whispered behind the scenes, nothing, Saturday-ish and all that other stuff. Uh, I just think that this team, Moan, had a chance to have a successful reset year. There was never any way around it being a reset year when you knew you were going to change quarterbacks midstream and when you knew your offensive line was starting
Yeah.
from scratch. Okay, it was going to be a reset year regardless. To leave that reset year by winning 6 out of 7, by finishing 9-8, 4 in a row, and then to see, like you said, the offense especially finding
Yeah.
that identity, man, you can carry that into an offseason. You just can.
You can, man. And this is one of the best parts, too. We got to figure out what's going on with Pat Frymuth in his knee situation or lower body. But in general, okay, when you
Oh,
look
it
at
was
this
his
team,
knee.
it
It
was
was
his
his knee.
knee.
It's his left knee, and it didn't look very good.
Yeah, but I'll say this. For the most part, the majority of this team, for the guys who expect to come back and play roles again next year, except for maybe a small procedure, everybody walked off the field. Everybody's relatively healthy going into the offseason. Everybody is walking, and that means getting back to work quicker. No offseason delays. No, hey, where is he at in camp? There's no TJ watch. None of those things going into the offseason this year.
I just like that they were able to walk out of the locker room with their heads held high, which they
Yeah.
did. I don't mean that in the figurative sense. I mean, they actually literally did this.
Yeah.
They had not smiles. People will hear that and get all goofy about it. They didn't go, yay, we didn't make the
No.
playoffs. They're not idiots, okay? But they controlled what they could control over the last 7 weeks, and they went and they got the job done. That part of the job, the only part they could control, they did.
So, with that being said, safety net for Coach Tomlin, fine. You're okay. We're good to go.
Discussion, yeah.
Yeah, we'll play that role another time, DK. But
Yeah,
I
we have
I
months.
saw a list of his wins, and I was just like, okay, that's steady. And
It
again,
is,
what is
but the other thing that's steady, in fairness to the people who
to the
criticize
critics?
him as
Yeah,
you and I do as well, is the list is really consistent of no playoff wins for a
that's
long,
true.
long time now.
And we got to have that conversation too, DK. Of okay, when is the next step, and how long does that step actually take with this new era of Pittsburgh Steelers football?
When we come back, the only segment that matters.
That's Ramon.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show and the only segment that matters. That's brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where quality is at the core of every menu item. 3 expert chefs ensure that every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, and app is crafted for craveability. Order your favorite entry at the Get-Go Cafe and Market today. Better believe it. George comes through with a really good one. You ready, Moan?
Yes, please.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on, George. Because I had a bunch of people say, "Wait a second, we didn't wish Moan a happy birthday on the last episode on Friday," and it was just like we'd actually talked about it beforehand, and it just didn't come up on the course of the show here. So happy birthday, Moan!
Thank you,
Belated.
man.
Did it go well? Did it go well?
It did. It went really well, man. My wife she did it well. She did it good this weekend, man. I appreciate that, though.
All right.
Thank you.
George, he's got multiple exclamation points. So I got to back way up
please.
here. George says, "Hey, Moan! I just got up from my recliner after watching the Cleveland game, and I'm going to get a little philosophical on you. Can it be said that this game was both meaningful and meaningless at the same time? In other words, can it be said that even though the team missed the playoffs, is there not a sense of satisfaction deep, deep down in the soul of Coach T and his team that they have a winning record? Does that mean something? I know DK thinks it's meaningless, but does it set things up for next year, or is it irrelevant to next season?"
This, George, really good question, by the way. This question, it has a whole lot of depth to it, man. Is it meaningful? Yes, in the sense that this team is above 500. You're not in the last place in the AFC South, but meaningless, meaning one, you had to rely on a whole bunch of help, which means your season didn't go as you needed it to go, which means you're probably not one of the better teams in the NFL also going into the playoffs. So to be happy about, being above 500, not last in AFC North, and also not going into the playoffs, yeah, I think you can say that. We can. The coaches never will, simply because they're paid to win. This is the business of winning. We heard Coach T say this all the time. I don't know how strong this team could have been going on the road, because being the 7th seed, you don't host a home playoff game. You're not in a position where you get home field advantage nowhere near any part of the playoffs. So to say that it was meaningless, that's hard, even me as a former player. But I can kind of sit back and say, you know what? I'd have gone home and probably had a conversation with my wife and my brothers and been like, you know what? It's good that we end it right now. It's one of those teasers. This leaves you more hungry for next year if you're right-minded and Coach T craft this team the way it's supposed to be moving forward.
Yeah, that's the whole 9-8 and playing for the head coach and whatever else here. I'll read to you a Najee Harris quote from after this game in reference to Tomlin avoiding having a losing season.
Yeah.
He says, "That was just for Mike T, man. When we started at 2-6, he said, I'm not going to change the way I'm coaching. I'm not going to blink. I'm going to be the same guy." He never changed. He never switched up. That's just leadership. And for us to come in here and win for him and not have that losing season, I think that was big for us. Now, you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you see my eyes rolling at all through the whole thing? Let me just say this. This was not the only thing that Najee said after this game that I rolled my eyes at. I know how he really feels about stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
I always know the difference between when you guys are saying something on cameras and whatever else, and whenever it's like, really, give me a break.
Yeah.
I should know how you feel about this. Absolutely nobody in that room talked about at any point, unless a reporter asked, the Tomlin winning/losing season thing. But
yeah,
a player walks, like I said a little bit ago, the head a little higher,
Yeah.
It's
just it has a sense of pride, DK. And the players, would say they done it for Mike Tomlin's record, or it was a part of their legacy, but nobody wants that to be the case. Like I still carry with my leaving college, my head coach at the University of Tennessee was fired my senior year. I don't take a liking to that much at all, DK. There's a lot of different ways in which you grab onto things to satisfy that need in sports. And you seeing those players walking out of that locker room with their heads high, I think that's probably the ultimate accomplishments this team could have had this year. Is it cheesy? Yeah. But is it sports in general? Hell yeah, because you just look for something in the offseason. This should stick with them. Again, George, as you said, very meaningful, but there was a lot of stuff that had to go right to really make this a very meaningful type of weekend, and I don't think we had a whole lot of that going into it.
I keep coming back to this was going to be a reset year regardless.
Reset.
And you went through it 9-8, winning 6 of your last 7 on partially, I should say, on the strength of an offense, a young offense, and a young quarterback, and a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
Kept getting better. Getting better. I almost, there's a part of me that almost wants to say it went optimally. You know what I'm saying?
We can't be that excited about it, but game winning drives, running backs doing their thing, finding their tango that they're gonna have. We'll get our answers this offseason, DK. This is full of every storyline you could have ever imagined. Again, we'll see what happens on Black Monday. If there's good news for you.
Is this yeah, we'll see about that, right? It'll make for a really entertaining Ramon Foster show. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that this is the part of the program where people think this is it. They're done for the year. They're just not going to come back till football.
Yeah, right. We're here Monday through Friday.
Ramon's not going anywhere.
No.
Ramon is the immovable object at left guard.
You know what? I've heard that a time or two in my career. I'm here for it.
Ask Gino Atkins.
Man, you can ask almost anybody. They may got some movement, but it wasn't much at all.
Let's do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely.